All right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Eagle Eye podcast. It is episode 35. And yes, just as much as there is a doble jornada, there is a doble podcast this week. We brought you one on Tuesday, and we're bringing you guys one back again on Thursday. We're going to be breaking down everything that happened yesterday against Leon in that terrible, terrible defeat to them in the Camp Nou. And we're going to be looking forward to the future in hopes of what should be a wonderful, wonderful matchup against Pumas in the Clasico Capitalino. And as always, it should be a great, great show. But before I get ahead of myself, let me introduce today's co-host, Mr. Christian. Christian, how are we?
I'm doing better than yesterday, that's for sure.
Better than yesterday. And a returning guest to the pod, a good friend of ours, Mr. Brian. Brian, we caught you straight from Aido, Mexico, from Guadalajara to Arizona. How's it going?
Yes, the reigning champion is back.
That is true. That is true. No one can take that away.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you. You're actually the first time you come on the pod when we're actually going to be talking about America.
I know.
Interesting.
We ended
Interesting.
on a sad note, so let's reverse it.
Yeah, let's reverse it. And what better way to do it than with a Clasico Capitolino up ahead? Many of you will be wondering exactly where is Dylan and why he is not on the pod. Well, I'll tell you this much. Management has given him yet another vacation. I believe this time it's the Bahamas, and he's actually with us in the live chat. But he is cruising and coasting right before the school starts. So, Dylan, we envy you. So keep enjoying your vacations. And while we get to work, you get to relax. All right. Gentlemen, are we ready to talk about what the nightmare was yesterday in the Camp Nou?
Yes.
Yeah.
As much as we don't want to, I know. I have sighed this whole morning as well. It was a terrible matchup, a horrible game. All in all, 90 minutes that we would much rather forget than to ever remember. But we do have to go down through memory lane and put ourselves through this torture just one more time to talk to the people exactly what went wrong, because I feel like everything in the end went wrong. But Brian, I'll throw it to you first. We talked about the lineup, and it was literally the same lineup that repeated against Querétaro and the lineup before that beat Monterrey at home. How are you feeling about this?
I'm okay with the lineup for the most part. I mean, I haven't seen much out of Oribe lately, so I mean, if they put in Henry, that would have been fine too. But the biggest problem I had was the two of the most experienced players were in the midfield was Guido and Uribe. I felt like the whole game was supposed to be dictated by them, and there was a lot of fouls in the beginning and breaking up the rhythm, and I think that went Club Leon's way, and that was kind of like the disappointing part I saw right off the bat, and then early goal completely shook up Club America.
Yeah, early goal. We'll get into that right now. Christian, we talked about the lineups. We said we were very confident in regards to what Piojo was going to line up. Instead, it looks like there was not much confidence in them because it looked like the team just wasn't there.
Yeah, the team really wasn't there. But for the most part, the lineup, like Brian said, it was all right, I guess. I would have done the same switch as him. I would have took out Oribe Peralta, put in Henry Martin, because we have not seen Oribe this season, and just the key midfield that Dylan always talks about. Mateos and Guido have to show up every game in order for us to create chances for the better chance to win, and they just weren't there, and that cost us a lot.
I think even though all three of us can agree that the lineup was the correct one, we maybe would have tweaked one or two things. But I think the thing that frustrated me the most, and I even said this right before we even closed up the show on Tuesday, was I don't want to see Oribe Peralta in that camp position again, and he started again
Yeah, yeah.
in that camp spot. I have no idea why we're wasting someone in that position.
I feel like the more we watch him, the more he's losing his step, and that's a very mobile spot. I mean, a lot of people even want to see Lainez in that spot, and just compare those two players, they're completely different skill sets. So that's another reason. That's kind of like the frustrating part with Oribe right now. It's just he's looking a little like even with just his 1-2 passes, they're a little bit behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. I believe there's only maybe one player in our whole roster that I think fits that camp position perfectly, and he is in recovery for about another 4 months. Mr. Jeremy.
Yes, Mr. Jerry Menez.
That
How do you-
long?
Well,
Yeah, that long.
he was supposed to be gone for the whole apertura.
Wow. Yeah. And
And I feel
that's
like
like
he's
a
the only
player that was
real
fit.
player that can actually, say, okay,
Mhm.
he could be our cam.
True.
I mean, we do have seen multiple times last season where he came in and he slowed down the game in order for us to regain and get control of the match. And I think that's something that we're lacking this season.
Hmm.
Yeah, Brian, talking back to what you were saying, yes, it looked like there was too many fouls and it disrupted the gameplay, and it looked like maybe that was the right move for us to do to kind of make sure the Leon didn't settle, but it looks like it kind of worked against our favor in the fact that we weren't able to even get a rhythm going.
Well, that's the thing. It's like once that started happening, I noticed that the passes from the midfield were even like lacking. Like the linking up was just off. I likened it to the Conca champions when they played Toronto, where all of a sudden it was like the midfield wasn't linking, and then all of a sudden Ibarwin was trying to take on four players, and luckily in that game he got through. But this time, Leon was just a brick wall. They had no problems with those wingers going at them.
That's true. Credit to Leon because they were very, very organized in the defense.
Very much
I
so.
they did not leave much space to run into. I think Roger even had to force some of the space that he even got. But I think Leon, defensively speaking, they did what they had to do. They held their own, and we just weren't creative enough to just even try to make anything happen of anything. So the midfield was a very, very crucial aspect to this game, yet we did not win it at all. Very, very terrible in our passing going forward. At some points, we even started just hoofing the ball up, playing long ball United,
That's exactly what it was.
and
Yeah.
it was ridiculous because as much as you have a target man in Roger, what are you gonna do with when the ball's going throwing up to Linus or Ibarwen?
Yeah, that's not even like his style. That wouldn't be a stylistic for him. You know,
No,
it's like that doesn't work with him. It's a linking up type of thing where he can exploit the defense. Not like, hey, here's the ball, go do something. That's not going to work with him.
nope, that's definitely not Rogers' way, and it definitely isn't or has ever been our way. To be honest, as much as
Mm-hmm.
we've seen America play, I don't think that's ever been a resourceful tactic for us to even fall on. But
Mm-hmm.
like you gentlemen mentioned, an early goal from the man who always seems to put a ball in the back of the net against us, Mr. Mauro Boselli.
Yep.
Unbelievable that he gets himself yet another goal, and didn't even take him that long. What do you guys think went wrong in that goal?
Just poor marking. I feel like we gave him too much space, and a guy like Boselli, we know how lethal he can be inside the box. You can't give him that much space, and that was just very poor defending by I'm pretty sure it was Edson Alvarez who had his mark. So very poor defending by Edson Alvarez.
Edson Alvarez, yeah, it was terrible. I mean, nothing much Marchesín could have done either. It was a very good header. Let's
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
credit where credit is due. Boselli's always been a very good clinical finisher, and especially against us for some reason. But Leon go up 1-0, and I think you just for everyone, it just frustration seemed to just sink in right away
Yeah,
because
instantly.
yeah, because I think you saw this team and the way they were performing leading up to that goal. You just thought, no, I don't. It looks like this is going to be a recap of what happened against Querétaro,
Yeah.
which was, kind of almost true to a point. But, the team somewhat tried to react at the beginning, try to push forward, try to run. We got a little bit more of the ball possession at that point, and maybe we dictated a little bit more of the play, but never to the point where I think Lone were even worried. You
Mhm.
know, I don't really remember really crucial opportunity where you thought, "Wow, that should have gone in." Except maybe I remember one time Roger kind of just forced his way into the box, and Kota came out in time. Um, that I don't know. Can you gentlemen remember another time?
No, to be honest, I really can't.
I'm trying to think in my head, and I think there was one where I think they tried a give and go, and I think Oribe or Roger kind of had a little bit of space, but then they got swallowed up by the defense. So I mean, I can't really think of a clear cut shot opportunity to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think there was any clear cut chances.
And as much as credit we want to give to Leon's defense, and like we said, they played a very good game. What was lacking? I think we were just not that creative. I think we were very predictable in the way we were moving the ball. I think Leon defense just kind of just said, okay, you're gonna do that again. We're gonna easily just swallow it up.
It's just Piojo tactics. I think I've been reiterating this all season long. Piojo's tactics is go give it to the wings, let them create something, either cut in or cross the ball in. And Leon figured that out very quickly. As you can see, we didn't really have our crosses were terrible. Like literally, I don't think one cross ever connected, and it's terrible to see that this is the only tactic Piojo has. And I don't know, maybe that's why we're not seeing much of Roger like shine as we know he can, because crossing is not going to get the job done.
No, it's not. I think our wing play hasn't been that strong in the past couple of
That's
games.
the thing is I would have preferred to see them try to shrink the field and try just get the passing better, because like we were saying, the crossing's not landing, and I don't think Roger's going to get a header. So I mean, I don't know. I think shrinking the field a bit, getting that midfield play back in where you can make some space and try to maybe catch a defender off.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kept like the same thing over and over. It was like Chepo de la Torre 2013 tactics. It's just like, just cross it. Maybe still find somebody.
Yeah, pretty much. And it doesn't help too that whatever you're playing out the wings, your wingers can't even get past their first marker.
Mm-hmm. Well, I screenshotted a play where Ibarwin was trying to make a run, and there were 6 Leon players around him, and there was nobody else near him from America. I'm just like, this is what we're resorting to. It's back to the Conca champions, like Euro ball again. You know what I mean?
And I think Ibarwin frustrated me for most of the match because he couldn't get past his first defender, and then still opted out to play a very, very poor ball whenever he did want to pass the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just, I don't know what Piojo has seen in him. I know, I get it. Before, in a couple of games, he wanted to keep him there for the full 90 minutes just for him to kind of get his confidence up, to kind of get the rhythm of the league. At this point, though, he's costing you an extra spot on the field where someone can do much, much better job. I think if we would have seen Cecilio Dominguez start there, maybe, just maybe, things would have been a bit different.
Possibly. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, possibly, but we see Cecilio come in for a full half, and he didn't do anything, to be honest. So I don't know if starting Celia would have been the better idea, but I mean,
you're right, Christian. This kind of goes back to the Piojo tactics. It's why are you putting Uribe Peralta in a cam position? Why are you not trying to play through your strikers kind of, forward way? If he likes to receive the ball and link up, why are you going to force him to try to go battle in an air duel against a very, very tall center back in Mosquera?
And several of them, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all ready for those crosses.
Mm-hmm.
They were. And it's ridiculous that you then opt to still keep a winger that hasn't produced much in the past couple of games.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the 2 players I felt were the best were Henry and Ibarra. I felt like they tried at least to make something happen, but I mean, everybody was off. I mean, this was a collective loss. This wasn't like, oh, this one dude screwed up. It just was a collective loss, to be honest.
Definitely.
It was, and I think if you look at the defense too, Bruno had a very, very bad game. I mean, to give away a penalty the way he did, and to risk that play, it's ridiculous. How do you not just play it safe and kick the ball out? Why are you trying to rebound it, and so softly too? It's just it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and then
frustrating.
I know a lot of people will say it's not a penalty or the referee gave away that penalty. It doesn't matter. What I'm talking about is the play before the penalty. Before, he could have completely erased that play from history if he would have done the right move.
Mm-hmm.
So it was frustrating on that aspect as well, because Bruno looks like he was actually starting to become maybe this Pablo Aguilar 2.0, and now he resorts himself to making the mistakes that we saw from last season, and just kind of says, well, maybe we need another center back, or maybe we need Manuel Aguilera there.
Yeah, possibly.
I will say this though, I think out of the center backs, I think Edson had the best game.
Yeah, I mean, there like with the first goal, I think there was a miscue. I don't know. It was good cross and good header, but outside of that, he had some pretty good interceptions. He was covering well. So, I mean, I would rate him fairly well after that moment.
No, definitely. And I think I'll say this much about him too. He was not just covering his own space. He was covering whatever space George Sanchez left whenever
Hmm.
he decided to go and bust up Paul Aguilar.
Well, that
Yeah.
was the other player too, was Vargas, when he would push up a lot, but he did have one really good play right before he got subbed out, where he tracked back, and I think it was Montes who took a shot and he deflected it, and then
Hmm.
right after that he gets subbed out. I'm like, man, this is not working out.
Hmm.
No, it's not. It's not. Poor Vargas. You know who he got to start. I mean, I didn't see too much of him to be like, yes, he's gonna stay in the starting 11.
Hmm.
But you know, kudos for him for what he did. Uh, I know a lot of people will question whether George Sanchez should start the next game or not. For me, I wouldn't risk it. I'd put Paul Aguilar. As much as we sometimes say he's very tactically not disciplined, I think when it comes to George or Paul, I think Paul would definitely maybe track a little bit more than what George has done.
Yeah, but another thing too is he is young, and he's going to be going through some ups and downs. But he's also had very good games, so I'm not going to just I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater completely. But if Aguilar starts, I mean, I'm okay with that too. And
Yeah,
you can always put Sanchez back in if Aguilar's not 100%.
definitely.
No, yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I'm not saying let's send him down to the sub 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying let's give him a couple of games where he maybe observes these games off the bench. If Paolo's not 100%, if Paolo's not even demonstrating that he's ready, let's put him back in there because he has had good games. No one's
Yeah.
gonna question him against Monterrey. No one's
Hmm.
gonna question the good game he's had against Querétaro. It's just maybe a couple of mistakes here and there. But
Mm-hmm.
it's granted he's new, he's definitely very young. So that I do understand. Let me hear your guys' take on Diego Lainez.
Well, for me, Diego Lainez, this was I think it was a right move. Piojo did subbing him out at halftime. Didn't really create much. He was double teamed for the whole half, and I think that frustrated him a little bit because he tried to do a little bit too much extra. Something that we don't want him to do. We want him to see like release the ball a little bit, pass more instead of taking on 2, 3 guys. We know he can. It's just that when you're double teamed, you can't really do that as much. So maybe he got frustrated. Him being that young, it got to him a little bit. I don't expect him to. I don't expect him to see him in the starting 11 Saturday. But I think he can learn from this. To calm down a little bit, and when he needs to be subbed out, it's a good time.
Okay. Yeah. He didn't have the best of his game. Again, this is what game number 2 that he hasn't really showed up. Against Querétaro wasn't really looking that well. And then against Leon to get, pulled off at halftime, I guess that really kind of has to put him in a bit of a worry to see if he's ever going to come back into that starting 11 anytime soon. But you're right, this is going to help him. This is going to help maybe kind of put him into his place just because I think maybe it was all of this was kind of getting to him. There was rumors of him getting called up to the Mexican national team this upcoming Fecha FIFA and everything that's been surrounding the kid. You know, I feel like he's no one's ever going to deny the talent that he has, and he is the real deal. But he still needs to learn a lot, and I think maybe after this game, if he can assess himself and if the right people wrap their arms around him and say, look, this is what you did wrong, this is what you could do better, and this is what you got to improve on, and if he can take that, then he can definitely grow to be the player that we know he can be.
Mhm. Definitely.
So the game pretty much rolls around, and Leon don't really do much to push forward. I think they were kind of okay with just giving us the ball and trying to see what we were able to do because, like Christian said, we looked very predictable, you know, and
Yeah.
and
Are you referring to Linus?
no. I'm referring to the game now in general.
Oh, in general, yeah.
In general, we were just, Leon gave us the ball. We had the ball more. And I think Leon's plan was, okay, we'll let you keep the ball. You're being very predictable. We can easily do this for another full 90 minutes if you want to. You're not really pushing us to any new extremes.
Mhm.
So what what do you guys think was the right call to make during halftime?
I think the right call. The right call was subbing out Diego Lainez, but the wrong call was bringing in Cecilio Dominguez. I would have rather preferred Renato Ibarra come in, only because we know how explosive he can be when he comes in as a sub. We've seen what he can do to a game when he comes in. He can change the dynamic of the team. Let them. Let's start running. Let's start doing this, moving a little bit more. So I would have much rather preferred to see Renato Ibarra than Cecilio Dominguez.
You, Brian, what would you have done differently?
Well, I mean, it's one thing if like the Linus wasn't working, but I'm never really a major fan of taking someone out at halftime, especially if he's young. I feel like that. I think like, hey, these first 10 minutes, if nothing's changing, I'm gonna take you out. I think I would be okay with that. But I think Ibarra looked good when he came in. To be honest, and like we were talking about, like Peralta in that spot, he wasn't working. So I wouldn't have mind seeing Ibarra, Linus as an attacking mid, and then either keep Ibarwin or Dominguez come in. But I don't know. It just felt like even when Dominguez came in, the answers weren't arriving either. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But again, you could kind of chalk that up into like a bad game. Back to the first loss, it was very similar. I just felt like there was nobody really connecting, and then the defense slipped up. It was very similar. So I mean, maybe this was just one of those fluky games where the team wasn't connecting.
Hopefully, it was one of these just fluky games. Because when Piojo changes all of that up, he just literally just switches the lineup and puts Guido Rodriguez all by himself in that center defensive mid role, and then pushes Mateus Uribe out to the right, pushes Cecilio Dominguez to the left, and Ibargüen's kind of this cam, and now you have Oribe Peralta up top with Roger.
Yeah.
But even then, we see Oribe Peralta drop back immensely when he doesn't need to anymore, and I don't understand why.
And he gets frustrated. Have you noticed that too?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have noticed
on that
yes.
play where Alvarez got a yellow. I thought it was Peralta who should have got the yellow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Alvarez just had just try to use his body, but Peralta came in hot. That's what caused the to fly out like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah. I think we've been saying this for a while now. This might be the end of Oribe Peralta in an America jersey.
It could be. It could. I mean, what does he have his contract till 2020, and he just announced his retirement from the national team. So
maybe it's time.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look, he's 34, and he's already lost most of what made him such a potent striker in the box. He's starting to fade away from that, and now is starting to play he's basically doing a Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
If you get
in the sense, yes.
From being that lethal striker to even pushing more back and more back and more back, before you know it, you're gonna see him in the center mid.
Yeah.
Which we have seen him in preseason, which made no sense.
Let me just say this: when you see Darwin go to MLS, he's killing it. You see Zlatan and Wayne Rooney go over and kill it. Maybe Oribe just needs to join the MLS.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and he'll kill it.
Let's go ship him over.
Then it's
MLS All-Star.
Oh yes, can you imagine?
And captain too.
Yes, and captain as well.
Well, the one thing that's really frustrating about that game too is if you look at the attacking threat of America. I mean, outside of there are injuries. There's a lot of talent there. So when they're not linking up, it's like
it's weird.
This isn't a video game, but you guys should be figuring this out.
Yeah.
And you would have imagined that this team is actually able to do that because, like I mentioned when we were talking about the Necaxa game, this isn't a relatively different or new team. The core is there. Practically everyone is there from last season, and they should at least have 6 months under their belts, if not more, playing with each other. I think the only one that's new there is Roger, George, and that was pretty much it. Everyone else was already accustomed to playing with each other. So, I mean, the fact that, like you said, the fact that they're not linking up, that's what worries you the most, is because you can't even string along 4 or 5 good passes without, messing it up. And it's not even to the point where you think, oh, it's because Leon was pressuring us or Leon really put pressure. It was just careless mistakes. It was careless passing, and it was just it was just mind baffling because it was like, how do you mess up a pass when And at this point, they were forcing the pass. Really, instead of playing it to someone a little bit, maybe play the ball back or try to push it out wide to someone who maybe isn't as marked. For some reason, you're trying to force the pass going forward. I get it. You're frustrated. You want to go. You want to get something done, but it's really not the way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and that's what frustrated me the most yesterday. I don't think I've ever been frustrated watching a game in a while. Especially like that, because it felt like just this team had no real, just I'm going to use it in Spanish, no tenía ganas to even go out there to try to even play. It looked like they were just there playing a pickup match.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, when the fouls were ruining the rhythm, I remember saying, like, in the first 20 minutes, I don't remember them having 3 passes linked up.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Very, very frustrating to see.
So, and I mean, I hope that this loss comes with its blessings, that maybe this kind of kicks them into gear, especially coming up against Pumas, which we know what this game means to the fans and to the institution itself. So hopefully the players realize that, hey, this is no time for us to slack off. I mean, we were literally at the top, close to the top of the table, and now you're looking, you make one small mistake here and there, a draw against Querétaro, now a loss against León. Now you're really looking at yourself saying, wow, we really let go of 6 important points.
Definitely. And I think that's gonna, hopefully it doesn't come to bite us in the long run, but this is I hope it doesn't result to that.
Yeah, we can't resort to pulling out Tigres here.
Yeah. We
can't, though, because that can't be our way. I mean, we have to resort to what we know, and what we know is we know how to win. And at this point, I wasn't even caring that the team was playing, decent and getting a pretty good results and 3-0. I just want to see us go out there and be able to manage a game and manage a result. Walk out of there. I don't care if we played pretty, if we played horrible. At the end of the day, get the result, get the points, and then we'll talk about it on how to improve it. But if you keep that winning track record going, that's only going to benefit you.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But I mean, credit to León, because they did what they did. They were very organized, and for some reason, when they counterattacked us, it looked like no one ever wanted to run back. And
yeah, I know, right?
It was ridiculous that at some point it was just Bruno and Edson back there.
Yep.
And that was what was just horrible. And fortunately for us, nothing ever really came of it. But they did get that penalty, which Boselli again slots it into the back of the net, which you kind of had a feeling already. As soon as the referee gave the penalty, you kind of knew already.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was ridiculous, but you know what? It is what it is. I wasn't even contesting the penalty. I was just mad at the point that it was.
I'm just mad he got into that position in the first place. Like there was, like you
had
said,
no reason to.
Exactly, like you said, just clear the ball out, man. There's no reason to do that.
But hopefully this kind of is a wake up call for the team, and like we said, the less said about this game, the better. I know our good friend Kari is gonna be livid because of her León winning, who she constantly kept rubbing it in our face yesterday.
Well, she put voodoo on the podcast, and I'm really disappointed.
Like, you're here to be our sage and to clean us up.
Well, I'm gonna give you a little sliver of hope. This is Liga MX. This is a weird league, and basically every team has 1 or 2 of these type of games.
Yes.
Like I said, looking at the roster, it's pretty stacked. You would hope Yoho would be like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna change this a bit. I need the midfield. I need you guys to put support the wings, support the strikers. Just change it a little bit." But like I said, like it's a wacky league. These games happen.
They do. It's unfortunate, but you know what? Like you said, it's Liga MX. Anything and everything is possible. I mean, if Tigres can somehow manage to put themselves into the Liga and win the whole damn thing after constantly looking terrible.
Yeah, well, look at Chivas a couple of years ago, or
yes,
that was a bizarre run too, and they just had to get the last game, and they got it.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens. But let's hope that for America's case, the wake up call is here and now, because again, we're going to be talking about this Pumas matchup, and while Pumas is probably in the same boat as we are, we need to make sure that we don't sink, and they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
So,
plan.
with that said, Leon 2, America nil. Anything you gentlemen want to add on?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Covered everything. What do you guys think about Piojo not giving the press conference?
It's just typical Piojo. That's all.
Honestly, yeah.
I know I didn't read too much into it. I was just like, you know what? Rather him leave than to say something that could come back and get him, suspended or something than to, and rather have him on the bench than not.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, that does it for our wrap up against the game against León. Now we're gonna shift our gears to the Clasico Capitolino, Pumas versus America. A game that really brought itself from the youth academy. That's where this Clasico comes from. Two teams that hate each other from birth, and by birth I mean the babies tend to play against each other, and you're told since a young age there's only three teams you cannot lose against, and that is Cruz Azul, Chivas, and Pumas. Of
Mhm.
course, the biggest one being Chivas, but after Chivas, of course, is Pumas. A game that used to be it used to be a classic, a derby where it was a very violent one, a very violent one, more at Seoul than it was at the Azteca. But now things have, changed and have looked a little bit more family friendly. So these games are always good though, and especially under Pio Herrera's, wonderful, wonderful streak that he's been going on in the Clásicos. I think we can expect this team to come out and really perform. What do you gentlemen think?
Yeah, I agree. I think we saw that after the loss against Necaxa, how we ramped things up a bit, changed things up a little bit, and I think we're gonna see something similar that come Saturday.
You, Brian, what do you expect for this game?
Well, both teams are going to be looking for those 3 points, and I just think America has the better opportunity to swing this around. Yeah, this is going to be a hard fought game. I'm expecting at least a red card, maybe a penalty.
Yeah,
but,
maybe.
I just think America. You look at the past few games, one kind of hiccup, I think they're going to be able to rebound, and if at worst, a draw.
No, yeah, that's true. But I mean, it wouldn't be a Clásico Capitolino without a red card.
True.
So,
True.
like we mentioned, Pumas is coming off what, 2 defeats? You were telling me, Christian.
Yeah, they're 2 defeats, yeah, and 1 draw, so they haven't won in 3 games.
So they haven't won. So they're hungry. They're
They're
hungry.
hungry. Yes.
And what better motivation than to come play at our home field in the Clásico? And they're gonna be looking for it. Let's be honest.
Definitely tight in points as well.
Exactly. So we know how important this matchup is, and they know how much this game means for them as well. So, question is now, what team is going to show up and what team isn't? Pumas has always been one of those teams that, for some reason, either they're going to play amazingly well against us or they're not. And you kind of get a sense of what the game is going to be like after the 25th minute of the match.
True.
And question is, what do you guys think America needs to do to keep Pumas, just subpar and be the team that we know we can be?
Brian, you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, I think you got to win the midfield. You got to do the opposite of what you just did this previous game, where it's really, really choppy and giving away, fouls and giving the ball away and not linking up. I think you got to look at your veteran players in the mid to try to supply the attack. If America can do that, I could see them really having success on that game.
Christian?
Yeah, definitely. He read my mind perfectly. The midfield, that's going to be the key part to this match. If we can see Mateos and Guido perform how they can, link up with Roger and Oribe, this game should flourish in our way.
Dylan's not even here, and you guys are giving me the same answer he would give me.
It's because it's true. We know. We look at last game. Our midfield was terrible. No chances created whatsoever. The only chances that we can normally create is pass to the wings and cross. Like we can't do that against Pumas, and we're not gonna win if we do that.
No.
So let's talk about key players, but before we do so, let's talk predicted lineups. I know Piojo loves to give his early lineups, but I think he'd give it tomorrow, not today. What do you guys think is going to be the lineup? Going with you, Brian. Give me your predicted lineup.
I think he's gonna probably go with a similar from what we've seen. I'm not sure if Aguilar is 100%. If he's ready to go, I think he's gonna be in there. And not to my liking, but I think he's removing Lainez for Dominguez.
So you keep everyone else, but you can take out.
Well, I'm just trying to read Piojo's mind. I mean, in my perfect world, I would have Lainez as a attacking mid, Roger up front, Ibarra on the right, and Dominguez on the left.
Yeah.
In everyone's perfect world.
Yeah.
Christian, give me your predicted lineup.
Basically the same thing. I think I'm gonna go Marchesín in net. I'm gonna put, if Pablo Aguilar is ready, we'll have Pablo Aguilar in there. Edson Alvarez, Bruno Valdez, and Luis Reyes. I think Luis Reyes will come back into the starting 11.
Okay.
The midfield, I would have Renato Ibarra, Mateo Ceribe, Guido Rodriguez, and I think he's gonna put Cecilio. So I'm gonna put Cecilio, and up top, Roger and Oribe Peralta.
I'm going exactly that same lineup, except Oribe Peralta puts in that cam position again.
Oh my God! Stop! Don't say that.
As much as I don't want that, because I don't as much, but let's be honest. Why is he playing him there? Why would he automatically just for some reason be like, no, let's not have you play in the cam spot anymore?
I mean, for all we know, he's going to mix up the defense. He's going to put in Aguilera. He's going to change all this other stuff. So it's just going to be hard to read his mind. But he could definitely do that.
If you
It
put
would be no
Aguilera,
surprise.
I don't think I'd be against putting in Aguilera, to be honest, for Bruno Valdez, if that would be the case.
Oh, it wouldn't be horrible. It wouldn't be horrible. But I'm just saying.
No, yeah.
It's just to read his mind is difficult.
Yeah, it really is.
And I think though you look at it and you kind of have to realize that he's very unpredictable in that sense. I mean, he could put Henry Martin in goal for some reason, and you would question it, but you'd be like, well, I mean, it is Piojo, but not to say he's gonna go to that extreme, but I wouldn't want him to mix up the defense just because I look, Bruno had a terrible game, yes, but he's a very, very strong player who can pick himself up. And let's face it, in an aerial duel, he 9 times out of 10 he comes out on top. So, and I think the most important part is though you're interrupting a partnership, between Edson and Bruno, something that's flourishing, something that's getting some traction going on. And if you interrupt that, especially in a big game like this where you need two center backs that can trust and talk to each other, I feel like it's not the time to remove these players.
Mm-hmm.
But now, would you be surprised if Piojo for some reason removed Edson and put in Aguilera?
Yes.
In?
No, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd all go mad.
Yeah.
Because I think the one player that has proven himself time and time again this whole season, this whole apertura, has been Edson.
Yeah, definitely agree. It's just something Piojo would do, just preparing for the worst.
That's true. That is true. But
I just hope it doesn't happen. I mean, I already see one young Mexican getting pulled from the starting lineup. I hope he doesn't pull several.
Yes.
I mean, I know this is a club game, but you like to see these kids kind of gain their confidence,
No, yeah.
And
especially
Edson wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. He just had. I mean, there was a miscommunication on the marking, but after that, he had interceptions. He tracked back. He had a handful,
Yeah.
I think. What if he pulls a 180 on us and actually keeps Lainez in that cam spot and takes out Oribe Peralta?
Then he watches the pod. It's confirmed he watches the pod then if he does that.
Watch him. Alrighty then. Okay, we're gonna tweet at Piojo Herrera if he does do that, and we're gonna say welcome to the podcast, Piojo. But now, with that said, with some of the players that we think are definitely gonna be there, who is your key player for this Saturday, Christian?
Mateo Uribe. I think after this terrible game and I guess the little show he put on after he got subbed out, I think this is gonna be a wake up call for him. I don't know how to put it in the correct way, but I kind of like seeing him getting that frustrated after he got subbed out. I think to me, at least to me in my eyes, it shows that he's frustrated with his game. He knows he could have done better. We know he could do better. I just like to see him return from Russia because he has not been here this whole season. we've been kind of light on him this podcast for this season, but I think it's time to buckle down on him because this is not the Uribe we need. We need him to be better, and in order for us to win, I think Uribe needs to be there 100% on Saturday.
And so does Uribe if he does end up playing.
Okay. Oh yeah, Uribe too. So,
Brian, who's your man?
It's hard to disagree with that. But I mean, since we just talked about him, if he does play, I'd say Edson, because that's another spot that's up in the air. Looking at the roster, there's another player that can come in. So if he's in, I would look at him, but also Uribe, because to be honest, if you're gonna show that emotion and you get your next opportunity, just like we're saying, you better show up and do it, because sometimes he looks so good. He's like, what's next? Is Sevilla gonna try to get him on, call him up? Like
exactly.
Try to get him signed, or then he disappears for 4 games, and he's making fouls. He's not, the passes are off, his shots off. So that's what I would say for sure.
Okay, agreeable. For me, it's Renato Ibarra. If he starts, Renato Ibarra for me gotta be the danger man. I mean, he's done it time and time again, and he looks like our best player going forward. I just think that a lot of responsibility is going to fall on his shoulders on that right-hand side, and it's whether or not he can deal with the Pumas defenders.
No, yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
So we got our 3 key players here, 3 players to keep your eyes on if you're watching this game on Saturday live: Renato, Uribe, and Edson. So it should be an interesting matchup. It's hard to tell what Pumas is going to bring to the table, really, because it's as much as we can say they can easily, not bring, their A game. They could easily be in that same desire, hunger to want to demonstrate, especially in a Clasico. They could easily turn it up.
Oh, anytime there's a big game, these teams they have amnesia. They just turn it off. That they don't have to worry about that. But in the same sense, America has to be. They can't do it. You can't lack respect like you did in this past game, because they will bite you.
Exactly. Yes.
They will. Absolutely agree. So then, if our lineups are correct and we are playing with a 4-4-2, hopefully it's not a 4-2-3-1, and the midfield is the most important part. I think you cement yourself in that, and I think the most important part is actually stringing along 3, 4, 5, 6 passes and get something, finish the play. It doesn't even matter if it goes wide. It doesn't even matter if it doesn't even reach the goal. Finish the play, because I think that leaves Pumas without the opportunity of actually counterattacking.
True. Yeah.
So I think it's important that we finish our plays. We're securing our passes. We're playing the easy ball. We're not forcing it. And I would really like to see us play down the middle this game.
That's all I'm asking, honestly. Just a few plays down the middle can, really have Pumas really on their toes, guessing, okay, well, they're going to go out wide, they're going to go in the middle. We don't know. It'll keep them guessing, and that's something in our advantage.
Yeah, it will. I think, I don't know. I mean, Cecilio Dominguez tends to show up in games against Pumas, but playing out the wing, I don't think has really been our forte. Oh, I mean, you could easily go down the wing and then try to cut inside without having to really cross the ball. But even then, I'd rather just see. I really would like to see Mateus Uribe and Roger link up. Yeah. I think that's something we haven't really seen this season. Because, the great thing about Guido is that whenever he does play with Mateus Uribe, he kind of gives Mateus Uribe the liberty to kind of go forward, push forward, kind of be that cam for a player or two, and know that you got someone that's going to cover your space and cover a lot of room on the pitch. And I think Mateus Uribe maybe needs to see that, I can push forward. Let me link up with Roger, see what we're capable of doing. Because let's face it, Mateus Uribe can easily take a rifle of a shot outside the box, and Roger Martinez can easily muscle his way into the box. So we got 2 very, very good players in that midfield tunnel. So let's try to use them.
Exactly. We just need Mateus to show up.
Yes, we do. What's your guys' take on Roger right now? Some people are questioning him. Some other people saying let's give him a little bit more time. Where do you guys stand on Roger?
No, yeah, I agree. Give him more time. I don't think we've given him enough opportunities for him to shine yet. This like I said, Biojo's tactics, crossing it into the box is not gonna. You're not gonna get the best out of him. The way you described it perfectly, play down the middle, try to link up with him, let him muscle through a couple of defenders. We know he can, and let him do his magic. This crossing tactic is not gonna bring out the best in Roger, in my opinion.
You, Brian, what's your take on the Colombian?
No, it's for me. It's too soon to tell. I just, he's shown moments of brilliance, and I just don't know if this is going to be consistent or not. And if we can, because we've seen this team before gain control of a game where a player like that can shine, and we just need to see that comfort. But I think it's too soon to tell to pull the trigger and say this guy is not cutting it. But I don't want to give him too much praise either. I just know America likes to make these type of signings, these type of players, but it's a little too early to say.
I'm still a firm believer that he is Cabañas reincarnated. I just think we just need to give him that much more time and play to his strengths, like we've been saying. So hopefully that happens, and hopefully it gives him the opportunity to shine. Because let's face it, there's no doubt about it. This guy's got skills. He looks like he's a really, really good player, and no one's gonna question the strength that he has to kind of muscle through defenses.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carlos put it perfectly in the chat. He has to create his opportunity sometimes, and that just can't happen.
Yep, it can. Sometimes as a number 9, you need help from all your surrounding players, which it doesn't look like sometimes he has that.
Well, that's the thing too. Is going back to that game, the fullbacks are pushing up super high. Uribe and Guido are kind of back, like way far away from the attacking play. Mm-hmm. It's almost like you've got to reverse that a bit. I know Aguilar likes to go up, but maybe just hold off a bit, let him support the strikers and the wingers, and try to get those linking plays. And like I said, possibly exploit a play.
Yeah, but it's no secret that Piojo loves his fullbacks to push forward, which is why whenever he did first come to America, he played with that 5-3-2 formation.
True.
But we'll have to wait and see. Let's see if he can adapt to this 4-4-2 the way we hope he can. Let's hope it's a 4-4-2 and we don't see another episode of Oribe Peralta in that cam position.
Mm-hmm.
All right, gentlemen, give me your predictions. It's time. Dylan, I know you're watching, so get the pen out and get the paper and get ready to write these results down. Christian, I'm gonna throw it to you first. Give me your results for Saturday.
2-1 America.
2-1 America. Okay. Brian?
1-0. Both teams end with 10 men on the field.
1-0 to America?
Yes.
10 men on the pitch. I can easily see that. I can easily see that. Okay. It's a tough game. Extremely tough game. I think I would really like to see how many fans show up for this game as well. I think it's important that the team has that kind of respaldo from the fan base, and I think that will help the players going forward.
Yeah.
If I'm to give a prediction, I'm gonna go that we keep a clean sheet because I think that's gonna help and motivate us. And scoring wise, I'm going 2-0.
Okay.
2-0 to America. I think it's gonna be one of those games where you score somewhat of an early-ish goal and you find yourself in the 70th minute scoring that second goal and just kind of putting the game to bed.
I like that.
But it won't be easy. It won't be easy. I can easily see Pumas giving us even more of a hard time than Querétaro or León, especially with what they can create going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is. The predictions. America will win. Ryan's giving a red card prediction. And I think we're all predicting a very stressful game at the end.
Yes, definitely. Hopefully I don't rip my hair off this game.
Well, looks like you already started on the sides, but don't worry, so did I.
I did. It started from here. Hopefully next podcast, hopefully I'm not bald. Let's just put it that way.
Well, then you're gonna have to pull a Brian and just use just use your microphone and not use
Yeah,
your
you're
camera.
right.
Yeah, you don't want to see my head right now.
All right, gentlemen. So that wraps it up. People, hopefully you guys can agree with us, give us your predictions. Follow us on Twitter so you guys can interact with us. That game is gonna be live at is it 5 my time, 7 my time? What time is it gonna be for you, Christian, that game?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So that is 5 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Central time, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and then our good friends down in Mountain time. That is going to be 6 p.m. live Univision. Make sure you guys do catch it. Get yourselves ready for that game. Should be interesting. As always, a Clasico. And just kind of a word of advice to the players, because we know you guys all love to tune in right before the game starts. It's a Clasico. I know a lot of people won't say it, but these games you kind of have to play a little bit more. You have to feel the colors a little bit more. And this is why I hope that Piojo actually keeps Diego Lainez in, because there's two players on our team that know what it is to play against Pumas and that know what this game means more to anyone else on that pitch. And it's Edson Alvarez and Diego Lainez. I believe, like you said, Brian, Edson's going to have a very important game, and I believe he's going to start, and I think he's going to show exactly what this game means for a player coming out of the youth system. And I think Diego Lainez potentially could have his best game if he actually plays, because again, this is another game that he was taught from a young age that this is a game you do not lose, you do not want to lose, and it hurts your pride and it hurts your ego if you do so. So hopefully these players understand this. Hopefully some of the youth coaches can come and talk to them and say, hey, this is what we play for, this is what you're playing for, this is what is at risk, and you have to play not just to get those 3 points, but to kind of have not only bragging rights, but kind of keep the institution as the bigger team in the long run. But it should be an interesting game. Make sure you guys do tune in. We're gonna keep you guys updated with everything on Twitter live. Brian, give them your Twitter, because I'd like them to follow you too. You keep them updated as well.
It's at Brian RMW. And I just wanted to go back to a point you're saying about Linus. The only thing that frustrates me, like I understand he draws in sometimes double teams because we've seen him exploit people. I just hope we don't start pushing him to the side because of he's a quiet game. When we've seen other players, more advanced players, more experienced players, make their mistakes and stay on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example is Cecilio Dominguez.
Right, exactly.
So hopefully he does get that start. Hopefully he does get to play. And hopefully we can walk away with this Clasico Capitalino with a very, very good result, because at the end of the day, I think that's what matters the most. Not how well we played, but if we're able to walk away with 3 points. So, gentlemen, that wraps it up. We're going to talk one last subject before we end the show. Ladies and gentlemen, not Piojo, Moises Munoz has announced today officially he will be retiring. His farewell game will be in Los Angeles against Guadalajara in the Clasico that they're bringing over here to the States. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts about this Moises Munoz hanging up the gloves?
I think it's time. I think he's given everything he can to professional football. All I have to say is thank you for that goal. Thank you for that goal. I think, speaking for all Americanistas, that goal will always be remembered in all of our lives.
Brian?
Yeah, no, I think we watched him with Fox during the World Cup coverage. I think he's got a future there. He did fantastic. It is time, I think, for him to hang up the boots, and he's given us a lot of good memories, not only Club America, but for the national team. And I got to personally thank him, because when I covered the Gold Cup last year, he was one of the only players to stop and talk. So I got to thank him for that. And I think he was a good player in that run we had a few years back. So many thanks to Munoz.
Yes, very, very many thanks to Moises. Moises, when he first came to the club, was actually remarked as one of the best goalkeepers in the league, and he continued to be that for us. And it's rare to get a player to come to the team and kind of just take it for what it is, playing in America. And he's actually, if I'm not mistaken, he actually is a fan of the team. He's actually a big fan of the team, and America's his team. and for him to achieve that goal, achieve that dream, and to play, because he felt the colors from the moment he stepped on that pitch and put on that jersey. He was one of the key players for us, and I think the most vital thing about this is that goal that you said, Christian, that no one will ever forget, is that goal against Cruz Azul in the final that eventually led us to victory. I think the wonderful and the most amazing thing about that is Moises Munoz is going to be remembered by this kind of millennial generation, because this is around that time was when, maybe, you were starting to be more into it. I was starting to be more into it. Many other younger Americanistas, will remember that as the key America points. As your father's time and my father's time will probably be, the era in which, we won the final against Chivas, and all of them who played in that, El Capitan Furi, Tena, Crisol Ortega, all of them, they, our parents' generation will remember the team for that. What we will remember the team for is that Moises header goal, and I think that's the most beautiful thing about it, is because that generation is going to remember it for many more years to come.
Well, it was legendary. Not only did he get the goal, he made stops in the shootout. So
Yes, he did.
There's very few players that have a moment like that, and he definitely delivered for America in that game.
He did. He most definitely did. So thank you so much, Moises Munoz, for everything. We know you listen to the pod. Thank you. And just hopefully he can continue that career in sport broadcasting, because I think
he did great. I liked it.
He did an amazing job. And it'd be nice to have someone, whenever America does transition into the American market, full English coverage, to have someone who feels the colors and can defend them in the right, proper way.
Well, I'll tell you what, just a little side note, like the Tijuana games on Fox are starting to, I think, kick off. And I mean, I could see them expanding. And if that's the case, he could definitely cover the America games.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So hopefully, Moises Munoz, you already submitted your application. Hopefully. But gentlemen, that runs it down. Thank you so much, Brian, for coming on to the pod. Hopefully your sage worked, and whatever Blue Ducati put on us is over.
Well, that's typical of her, so we're gonna just clean this through, and that's that.
Shout out to Kari, who was a great guest as well. Christian, thank you again for your time, for coming on here, being a great co-host.
Of course, man. Thank you.
Make sure you do follow these two gentlemen on Twitter. Give me your handle one more time, Brian.
At Brian RMW.
Christian.
At CR1STIAAN.
There you guys have it. And you guys want to follow me? It's at Ivan Pineda 83, but you guys don't really have to. But make sure you guys do follow the Eagle Eye Podcast account at Eagle Eye Pod. And if you guys do, you guys get us a little bit closer to another giveaway. We just did that jersey giveaway. We're getting closer to 400. 500 will be a really big one. So make sure you guys do keep following us. Spread the word, spread the love. And we'll see you guys on Saturday on Twitter to see what's going on. Gentlemen, thank you again for your time. We'll be seeing each other very, very, very soon. And Dylan, keep enjoying your vacations. Until next time, take care. Y arriba la América.